Hi, I'm Tish and welcome back to my channel Auto Social UK. Now over the last few weeks I've been really lucky in the fact that I've got to test out quite a few performance cars, but I was yet to test out a performance SUV and I thought where better to start than with the OG. This is the Audi SQ2, Audi's Quattro performance SUV. And when this car first entered the market, it confused people. Journalists didn't know what to make of it. They didn't know if a performance car could be an SUV. But since it's been released for a few years now, cars like the T-roc R, the Cupra Formentor and also the Cupra Ateca have joined the lineup. And then the likes of the Puma ST and the Kona N have also joined the performance SUV lineup. So we've kind of gotten used to them. And does that mean that the Audi SQ2 has now been outshined? Well, hopefully that's what I'm going to answer in today's video as I look a little bit closer at this car. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching. And if you like new car reviews and car content, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. Okay, let's get into it. The Audi SQ2 sits at the top of the Q2 range, getting a turbocharged 2-litre petrol engine that produces 300 horsepower. Compared to the standard car, the S variant is 20mm lower and features an advanced braking system. SUVs are always going to split opinions, but I love an SUV. Maybe that comes down to the fact that I'm a woman, and I hate to say that because it's an awful stereotype. But you know what? I don't care. I like an SUV. I think they look brilliant. Do I think this looks better than a standard hatchback performance car? Perhaps not, but I really like its styling. It comes in 3 different variants. You've got the standard car, you've got the Black Edition, which is the one that I have, and then you've got a top of the range Vorsprung variant. Now this Black Edition gets you some nice little upgrades which really make it worth it when it comes to exterior styling, including 19-inch alloy wheels. Those wheels are actually 18 from standard and these ones look far, far better. You've also got the black styling around the bottom part of the splitter, you've got a gloss black grille, you've got a couple of gloss black wing mirrors, and you've also got some rear tinted windows, and then around the back you've got the pièce de résistance, which I'll show you in a minute. Also got some really nice little elements that I love about this. You've got the Quattro badging along the side of the car, and you've got this really, really nice crease. It's almost kind of a diamond effect across the rear door. There it is, my favourite thing about this car, and that's those physical quad tailpipes. Now, I know all performance cars should have physical tailpipes, but we know with modern day Audis that that's not always the case, so I'm really happy to see them here on this SQ2. Now, in the Black Edition, these are actually finished in the black, which I'm not really sure how I feel about. As someone that doesn't really wash their car quite as much as they should, they'd probably suit me, but I'm not sure. What do you think? Should they be chrome tailpipes, or do you like them finished in black? Despite that this is an SUV, don't expect any extra space over the hatchback. You've still got the average amount of space in the rear here. I mean, it's not bad. I've got quite a lot of headroom actually, and I've got a reasonable amount of legroom. This is actually seated further back than I would usually have my seating position, and I've still got plenty of space for my knees. However, you do have quite a large transmission tunnel, which means the person sitting in the middle is going to struggle to put their legs somewhere. And also those rear windows do come up quite high. So for small people in the back, it could cause some travel sickness. It's also pretty disappointing that back here, I haven't got any USB charge ports, and I haven't even got a centre armrest with cup holders, which is pretty disappointing. The boot is usefully square, however it's considerably smaller than the Cupra Ateca and doesn't have the clever storage below the floor like the Ford Puma ST. I'm actually due to go to Manchester for a few days, and of course I'm packing everything but the kitchen sink, so let's see how practical this boot space is. In the past, quality inside the SQ2 has been a little bit bashed, but actually I'm really impressed with the quality inside here. Everything feels really soft and high quality. I like the use of the brushed chrome across the dash. You've got some really nice feeling, heavy weighted buttons. I like the chrome detailing on the physical climate control dials, and I also love the twisty air vents as well. They're really great. And everything feels pretty good quality. You've got a nice leather-wrapped multifunctional flat bottom steering wheel. You have got some harder kind of plastics, but to be honest, I'll take this harder matte plastic over gloss black or plastic any day. The only disappointing thing with the Audi SQ2 is it has Audi's old technology, and what that means is you haven't even got a touchscreen, and this seems a real shame in this day and age. It's all controlled by the MMI button down here, which, to be honest, in some instances I do like it. When you're driving along, you can use this instead of poking at the screen, but for things like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, it makes the functionality really tricky. Despite the fact that it isn't a touchscreen, it's still really clear and easy to use, and you've also got the addition of a really nice digital cockpit as standard, which is something I think Audi do very well. Other than, of course, the paintwork, the only other option that's fitted to this car is the extended leather pack, which gives you these really nice soft leather, black and contrasting grey sports seats, which look really smart and they are pretty comfortable. However, this will cost you £1,500 and it still doesn't come heated or electric seats, which I think is a real shame. And actually, the standard SQ2 Alcantara seats are pretty nice. So I think I would stick with the standard seats and save that £1,500 in my pocket. The Audi SQ2 has tons of movement when it comes to the seating position. Pretty much everyone should be able to get comfortable behind the wheel of this car. Now, I personally like to sit down reasonably low, and you can see that from where the door card is to my shoulder. It's up quite high, but that's great for me, and even though I'm sitting down quite low, I can still see the whole of the digital dashboard, and I've got a really good view of the road. It's not impaired in any way, which is kind of rare. In most of these SUV cars, if you want to sit down low, then you're compromised in what you can see. But actually, if you like to sit up high, the SQ2 is brilliant at doing this as well. Now, the only negative is there's no need to go to the gym because, of course, it's a manual adjustment, which is a little bit of a shame in a car that's nearly £40,000. But as you can see, we're still going. There you go. I am now up so high. Now, bearing in mind, I'm around 5'6", 5'5", and my head is practically hitting the top of the roof. So if you're very little and you still like to sit up really high and have a good view of the road, then the SQ2 could be perfect. Despite the great forward visibility, rear visibility isn't as good thanks to the quite large, thick rear pillars. However, the SQ2 does get parking sensors and a rear camera as standard. One disappointing thing is thanks to the positioning of the camera, which isn't like in the badge in the T-roc R, is that all the muck off of the road does get on your rear view camera, kind of making it irrelevant when it's wet like this. It is a classic late November day in England. It's 4 degrees outside, it's wet, it's rainy, it's snowing elsewhere in the country, but it's an excellent week to have the SQ2 because this is 4-wheel drive. It's fitted with Audi's Quattro system, which means it's pretty much set up for all weather. And it actually pleasantly surprised me. I just assumed because the S3 wasn't 4-wheel drive that neither would the SQ2. So it really pleasantly surprised me that this is fitted standard with an all-wheel drive system. It definitely means it's much better to get traction down on the road. And when you compare it to other 4-wheel drive hatchbacks like the Golf R, like the RS3, this then becomes really reasonably priced. And of course, that Quattro system is why this car is so ludicrously fast, with a 0 to 62 time of 4.9 seconds. That really surprised me. And it doesn't take a lot, just put your foot down and this car absolutely bursts to life. Now, I'm not going to do a launch today, although it is fitted with launch control because it's sopping wet and a little bit icy, and that could end in tears. But again, that 0 to 62 time really surprised me. This car is full of surprises. Something I do find a bit of a shame is the lack of adaptive cruise control as standard. If you go for the T-roc R, or any T-roc for that matter, you will get adaptive cruise control as standard. However, on the SQ2 you will have to upgrade. The SQ2 gets the same 7-speed dual clutch that you'll find in the T-roc R and also in the Ateca. And it comes with the same kind of issues and comments about those cars. The gearbox, when in sport, is just a little bit laggy. It takes a little bit longer than you'd want to for it to change gear. Although that dual clutch system is so good at lower speeds. I know this car is supposed to be a performance car, and it's a shame that it does lag a little bit when it's in dynamic. But when you've got it in normal mode, it works really well. And you have to remember that if you're buying an SUV, it's likely that you're going to buy this car because you want a slightly more practical drive. You're probably going to be using this car a little bit more than you would when you buy a performance hatchback. So in terms of the gearbox in everyday use, it's really good. This car sounds really good, but suspiciously, this car sounds like a 5-pot. Why is that suspicious? Because it's a 4-pot. So what does that mean? Yes, we do have some synthetic noise that's pumped around the cabin. But to be honest, this car was built in the era when Volkswagen had to be really careful with their emissions, and a lot of their cars become a lot less loud. You can get past there. And to be honest, if it was between no synthetic sound or no sound at all, then I would definitely pick the synthetic sound, because it might not be the same as your classic standard engine noise, but it still gives you a smile. The Audi can't quite match the compliance of the Ateca, which actually gets adaptive suspension as standard. If you wanted adaptive suspension in the Audi SQ2, then you will have to go for the range-topping Vorsprung version. Whichever suspension setup you get, it's agile for an SUV and responds faithfully to your steering inputs thanks to its huge reserves of grip. So it would seem when it comes to drive, you just can't really fault this car. Yes, the gearbox is a little bit laggy, but come on, we know that by now with Volkswagen products. But as an everyday car, it's brilliant as a school run car, as a commuter car, as a performance car. It does everything so well. Plus, it can tackle all weather conditions with its four-wheel drive. Yes, okay, the interior is a little bit lacking. The exterior is a little bit controversial. It's not all that good at being a family car because it's not that big. But when it comes to drive, you just can't fault it. All things considered, the Audi is actually pretty reasonably priced. If you compare it to its BMW and Mercedes counterparts, it will cost you considerably less. And it'll even cost you £3,350 less than the T-roc R. However, this car is lacking in equipment, and when you compare it to things like the Ford and the Hyundai, it then starts to look quite expensive. However, if you go for the entry-level car, though it will miss out on things like an automatic tailgate, it will qualify for the £140 tax a year because it sits under that £40,000 mark. And it also is pretty reasonable to insure. The SQ2 will cost you almost half of what it would cost you to insure the S3 hatchback. The official MPG figure stated by the brand is 34.9, which is pretty impressive, and this undercuts rivals like the BMW and even the Ford Puma ST. However, drive this car spiritedly and you'll see that drop to mid-20s. So that's the end of the video, and I've really enjoyed my time with the Audi SQ2. Yes, okay, the specification could be better, but let's face it, that's a prestige brand for you. But the competition has got super tough. There's some really nice performance SUVs out there, even from Volkswagen's own brands like the Volkswagen T-roc R. I've definitely got to try one of those out to see how it compares. and soon I'm going to be testing the Kona N. So if that sounds good, then please make sure you subscribe to the channel. But let me know, what do you think of the Audi SQ2? Would it be a choice that you'd go for, or are you anti-SUV? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a massive thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this and car content, then subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.